part 3 of the underwriting training. In this training, we're going to discuss some reports, forms, and work queues that the underwriter will want to use in order to monitor their pipelines. So first, let's take a look at some of the reports and forms. In the underwriting department, there's a section dedicated just to the reports and forms for the underwriter. So here, let's take a look at some of the reports that you'll be using. First, I want to show you the approval activity. Now, the approval activity is just that. It's going to give you a list of all of the loans that you've approved within whatever date range that you enter. Now, this version is sorted by the office, but you can also pull the versions where it's sorted by the loan rep, the underwriter, or the broker. Now, we also have a canceled denied activity report, which shows you the opposite. So these are all of the loans that have been canceled and denied within whatever date range you enter. We also have an underwriting pipeline with conditions, which allows you to see all of the loans that you're working on and their outstanding conditions. So this is going to include or exclude all loans that have not been withdrawn, denied, or canceled and have not yet funded. So once the loan funds, it's going to fall off of this report. Or if it's withdrawn or canceled, it'll fall off as well. Now, we also have the underwriting activity. Now, this report is going to show you all of the loans that you've been working on. So it's going to include all loans that have been approved, withdrawn, denied, canceled, or suspended. So enter in a date range, and it will give you all of the loans that you've been working on, not just the ones that have been approved. Now, let's take a look at some forms. We, of course, have the 1003 and 1008, both are combined, and the single version. We also have the loan approval for retail and wholesale, which you probably saw in Part 2. And then, of course, we have a loan denial notice. Now, this form can be sent out, and it just explains that the loan has been denied. And we do have a wholesale version that includes the conditions. We also have a loan suspense notice for retail and wholesale, and of course, both versions with conditions as well. Now, what's nice about this loan suspense report or form is that if you include the conditions, there's a chance that perhaps they can satisfy one of the conditions, and then the loan may be approved in the future. So we do give you those options if you want to send conditions with the notice as well. Now, let's take a look at some work queues that the underwriter will want to use. Now, let's take a look at the approved loans not canceled, withdrawn, or denied. Now, if you're unfamiliar with work queues, they're pretty much a automatically updating to-do list. So once the user opens up or chooses their work queue, they'll see a list of loans, and they can just click on the loan, and it will open it up in ProLender. And once the loan has moves through the loan process and falls off of this work queue, it may be added to the next work queue. So this work queue, of course, is going to show you all approved loans that have not been canceled, withdrawn, or denied and have not funded yet. Now, once, of course, the loan funds, it will fall off of this work queue. We also have one for conditions received and not cleared. So perhaps your processor or whoever is collecting your conditions, they may have stated in the system that they've been received, but maybe you haven't had a chance to review the item in order to sign the condition off. So this is going to give you a list of all of those loans that you've received conditions, but you haven't actually been able to review them to sign them off. Now, next we have is the Image Center images requiring processing. Now, this is for users who are using Image Center and WebLender. And perhaps you have a broker who has submitted maybe a bank statement through WebLender, and it still needs to be processed. It still needs to be looked at, and the condition still needs to be signed off. So this is going to give you a list of all of those loans that images have been submitted through WebLender, but they haven't been processed yet. Once they're processed, the loan will fall off of the work queue. Now, the next one I want to show you or mention is the new loans today. So this is just going to give you all of the loans that have been added to the system today. And it kind of allows the underwriter to see what their pipeline will look like in the near future. Next, we have the received an underwriting pending decision, and that's exactly what is showing on here. These are all the loans that have been received by the underwriting department, but we really don't have a decision on them yet. We also have a very similar one. This one is for submitted to underwriting and not received, which pretty much means that they've been submitted to underwriting, but underwriting hasn't acknowledged that they have the file yet. It hasn't been assigned to an underwriter yet. It may still be sitting in a filing cabinet being ready to be looked at. So this is kind of an in-between stage. And so here, you'll be able to see all of those loans that are still kind of in the in-between stage where they've been submitted, but nobody has acknowledged that they have the file yet. And last, I do want to show you the web lender submissions to check in. So these are all of the loans that have been submitted through web lender, but nobody has checked them in yet. Now again, this may be something that the underwriter will want to look at just to see how their pipelines are going to look in the near future. So those are all of the word cues that the underwriter should be aware of. And of course, we covered your reports and forms. That concludes part 3 of the underwriting training.